Ready? Here we go.
Different points of view and highs and lows. A new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind, drown out the noise, and see if this connected. And see if this connected.
What's up, fam? The mission of this Connected podcast is to connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along the way. To not necessarily agree, but be listened to. These conversations, of course, highlight the perspective of our various guests, and you are always welcome to agree or even disagree. But as always, we hope that it is done in charity. Now, here's your host, Catholic.Dad.
What's up, fam? Thanks for another episode. Again, Tony, thank you for that intro, although you are still not here, missing our Halloween special. But Halloween special, as is this podcast, we always wear our costumes. And this evening, or this day, or what time is it? We don't know.
It's evening. Middle of the day.
What day? Yeah, well, we're recording this during the daytime, but it's dark in the podcast studio. Yes, it is formerly a studio. And we have guests to this episode on this Halloween special. We have Ish and we have Juan. Best friends, right? You guys are friends, right?
Yeah, right. Really good friends.
You sure? It's like,
no,
you guys
definitely.
Gonna claim it?
Come on.
So I didn't want to put that out there and just, no, I really can't stand the guy. But we have our
pretty good friends, yeah.
But we have our episode that just a conversation with two guys that want to share that I asked. Actually, the reason why I asked you guys is that I do follow certain people on Instagram and their social media that inspires me. And what inspires me is actually your relationship, not to be awkward or anything, folks, but your friendship is what you guys post. And what, one of the things is it cracks me up, and anything that makes me laugh, it says it's got to be some Holy Spirit and some Jesus in there. But when you post, it just cracks me up because you guys are so weird.
I'll take that as a compliment, right?
I'll say that as a compliment.
It is a compliment. I was like, I first saw you guys and Ish, posted something. You guys went out and you guys were wearing Spider-Man costumes, which why we wanted you guys to come in Spider-Man costumes. But yeah, that's right. And I was like, who in the world goes out in public wearing costumes and it's not Halloween? And I was like, well, that would be me. But to find other people who actually do that, and people actually do that nowadays, it was just, for me, it was inspiring. And then finding out that you guys actually are active in your faith and actually serving your faith and not just playing around, inspired me to invite you to talk about that topic, costumes, faith, vocations, and just being, why are you Catholic kind of thing. So that's why you guys are here. So that's the podcast.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for inviting us. I'm very grateful.
Can you hear him?
Very grateful.
A little bit. He's a little quiet.
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
Bring that in. Yeah.
There you go.
That's better.
Did I turn him on?
I think you turned him down. I think it's our mics picking him up. Good look.
Could be.
Nothing.
No, I could.
How about now?
Is it? How about now?
Hello. Oh yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Let's tap it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are.
Okay.
I had you on the wrong mic.
Well, hopefully now you guys can hear me loud and clearly.
Yeah, there you go. Now we got it. Now we got him.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, man.
That's all good.
And by the way, guys, we absolutely, as a rule, we do not edit the podcast. We edit in the front, we edit in the back, and then everything else in the middle pretty much stays. If you drop an F-bomb or another word, then we just bleep it. But
All right.
yeah. So let's hope I don't have to bleep it, because there have been times where I've forgotten to bleep something.
Oh.
And Oh well, you guys keep listening to some of those episodes that our friendly priests have been able to share a word or two.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that.
So that's it. So we're just gonna eat and share with you ASMR.
Hello, everyone.
Because we have chicken nuggets.
Some nugs.
We are not sponsored by McDonald's, but if McDonald's would like to sponsor us, you can go to patreon.com/thisconnected and sponsor us. And if you're not McDonald's, and if you're just a person out there who just wants to say, hey, I want to sponsor that podcast, and if you want to donate and be a patron for $1, $5, $20, $10, $50, even $100, hey, we won't say no. By the way, I want to share with you guys, 100% of the income that we have that's donated goes to youth ministries out there. Not youth ministries that have money, youth ministries that don't have money.
Don't have
And
money,
need money.
right? Because
Yeah.
there are some youth ministries out there that need the help, you guys.
There are a lot. Volunteer youth ministers, hence I was one.
Yeah.
And support the ones that do, because they do good work. They
Of
do.
course.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And with youth ministries, we take upon that responsibility and job to form our youth. Because I would say that the future of the church, but they're also the here and now. They're the present
Amen.
of our church
yeah.
right now.
you're wearing costume, which is actually one of my favorite superheroes. Of course, the first one, Jesus,
Oh, yeah.
because he says,
He comes before
"Yeah,
everyone.
I saw that." He sees everything. But I love the fact that I love superheroes that were normal and then ended up getting that superpower.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I could be that. And it's like, I teach confirmation at St. Mary's, and I always tell them it's like that,
Oh, it is like that, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's literally like that. You're just a normal person. You go in here 2 years or 3 years or however long it takes you to get confirmed.
Yeah.
Guess what? Confirmation. You get bit by that spider.
Yeah.
Actually, you get anointed.
Yeah. I mean, physically, like, it doesn't happen. Like, an actual spider doesn't show up and bite you, but
And then the whole thing with Batman. I mean, Batman, he gets trained all those years to become Batman. And then
And he's still just a guy, right? But
with a lot of money.
he went, yeah. And no, I think that's really true. Even just the superhero aspect, walking in the faith, God calls just everyone really to become a disciple of his. And we're given gifts, to develop and use for the greater glory of God. And that's like a superpower, and then you want to get specific. Priests, literally have the power to create, the body and blood out of mere bread and wine, obviously through God's grace. It's God's working in the end, but oh yeah, no.
Amen.
And then personally, I feel like in this faith journey as a seminarian,
Oh, wait, I suck at this. It's like we had a conversation before this, and we're just having a conversation now, but shoot, I forgot to introduce who the heck you guys are.
he said Ish and Juan.
Ish and Juan are here. We're eating chicken nuggets. Welcome to the show. But, let's start with Ish. Ish, tell us about who you are.
oh, okay.
Because some of our listeners may not know who the great Ish is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. My nickname is Ish. It's Ismael. I picked up that nickname from the Miss Kathleen, who is like the head of the youth ministry back at Our Lady of the Assumption Church. When I first started the program, because I guess Ismael was a little difficult to roll off the tongue, she was like, Ish. I was like, okay, I think it'll just be a phase, right? And then 6 to 7 years later, that's just my name now. It's just Ish. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. But my name is Ish. I'm a 22-year-old. The church I go to is Our Lady of the Assumption Church. I am a youth minister now, a youth leader, a core team leader. This is now my sixth year doing youth ministry, and I also teach confirmation. Because in our church we have a 3-year program. I happen to be the 2nd year confirmation catechist. I've been doing that for 4 years now, and I love it. Love doing it. I don't get paid, but
A lot of us don't get
with it.
paid.
Yeah, a lot of us don't get paid.
I think none of us get paid.
Yeah, I don't get paid to be a seminarian. I mean, we have a they give us like a little check each month for like soap and stuff, like our own like toothpaste.
Because we want to make sure that you guys smell nice.
Not like to buy like stuff for our room that we need, like, but
Toothpaste and soap.
yeah,
Toothpaste and soap,
shampoo.
Yeah. Hence, folks, again, you need to donate to DDF and to the seminarians so we can actually get them some more soap, shampoo, and toothpaste. So, you know.
And toilet paper.
And toilet paper,
Yeah,
because you know what? If you invite one of these seminarians over and they come speak and they're like, oh, they're smelling a little ripe, that's
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
weren't giving to your DDF.
Yeah, you know, I kind of
That's
had to,
pretty
like,
good right now, so.
I kind of had to like prep them before we got here. No, I'm just kidding.
Anything else, Ish?
I'm just very happy to be here, and just like I would like to be able to.
What are
speak.
you going to school?
Yes, I go to San Bernardino Valley College. Right now I'm just taking care of like my general education and such because my ultimate goal is nursing.
Awesome.
I want to be a registered nurse. I do plan on, because at Valley there's a special program for LVNs to RNs.
Mhm.
So I also figured, well, because there's a first step for everything, right?
Mhm.
And then you gotta like put your foot on the ground, right? Like test the waters and whatnot. So I feel like LVN would be a great start as well too, and plus it'll be taking care of most of the classes that I'll need.
You know, and that's the field that I'm in, is nursing. Not because I'm Filipino, and that's not a stereotype. There are a lot of Filipinos out there who are nurses.
Yeah, I know a couple of Filipinos.
But I got into the psych nursing field. I work at Patton State Hospital with a mentally ill, criminally forensic facility. But, you know, one of the things, Ish, that's so beautiful about being in nursing is that you get to fulfill the Beatitudes.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
it's your job.
it's like, why did you get in that field? Because I wanted to really live out the Beatitudes.
Yeah, not because of the pay.
Not because of the pay.
No,
Absolutely not. It wasn't the
absolutely not.
money at all.
I really like that.
And what's more beautiful about that is that what you bring about there is that you are working with them and trying to heal them physically. But when you bring in your spiritual aspect, your faith, without actually bringing it to them, you actually bring about a healing with them spiritually. And just listening to them brings about the Holy Spirit. Just your presence brings about the Holy Spirit. Sometimes, and the greatest compliment I've ever received, and the greatest compliments I always receive, is not that, hey, you know what, thanks for taking care of me, things like that. And it's when they say, you know what, you bring about a peace when you're around me. It's not like when the other nurses who just take care of you physically, but because your presence, it's not you who's present, it's Christ in you who's present in the Holy Spirit. So it's a great profession. More nurses, please, out there, because you're the front lines. Not to say that doctors aren't, but doctors aren't. Just kidding, not biased
offense,
there.
Well, first you see a nurse before you see the doctor. So
Yeah,
that's
of
pretty
course.
true.
It's not implicit bias. Just kidding. I don't think I went there. Anyways. But yeah, awesome. If you need anything and need any help, if you need any of the books, they're down there somewhere.
That's awesome.
The
man.
DSMs, all old copies of nursing drug handbooks,
Yeah, man,
old
I gotta
tests.
know all about it.
What the heck?
old tests
Get
and
ready for the
quizzes.
MCATs and whatnot,
That's
man.
all in there. The old board exams.
Yeah.
Here in the studio.
Yeah, here in the studio, you can study right here. So Juan, how about you?
Well, my name is Juan Samaniego. I'm currently a seminarian at St. Junipero Sarah House here in Grand Terrace. It's my first year, 2 months in, and it's been pretty great. But I was actually part of the youth ministry with Ish since what, like 2018.
2018. Yeah.
Late 2018, that's when I started, and then I was really in it, I remember. And then obviously COVID hit, so everything got cut off. But I'd say probably it was a good 3 years, solid 3 years, or 3.5 years.
3.5. Yeah.
But yeah,
Is that where you guys met?
yeah. Oh, actually,
well,
we
we
know
met-
each other from the confirmation program. So we were both in the same confirmation program, and he joined. You joined right after, no? Right after
Yeah,
getting
right
confirmed?
after my confirmation, I immediately joined. Funny story about that. Like, I never while I was in the program, I never really gave it a thought. Like, becoming a core team leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, like I had some really wonderful leaders. So shout out to Deanna, Tony, Larry, Joshua, Mr. Chris. I could just keep on going, but shout out to you guys.
Chris Estrella.
Chris Estrella.
Yeah, no.
And
The Chris Estrella.
Yeah, the Chris Estrella. You should
Chris
come on the
Estrella.
podcast one
yeah,
time.
yeah, it would be a good idea.
His
man.
wife came.
Nino.
Oh yeah,
Actually.
Alex.
Yeah, I saw that episode. But yeah, they like really inspired me, and it just became like that. I guess you could say like that calling. You're like, I want to do this. I want like youth to be able to experience what I did, because we really need those kinds of leaders now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I'll talk about that more later. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you get
But yeah,
ready.
but
Word.
we've been
Inspire.
on each other.
But yeah,
So
what else do you want me to say?
Who is Juan? It's like, well, you already said you're a seminarian.
Leading
but,
up to it.
Yeah, leading up to it. It's like, what did you do? Well, how? Why? Because
Why?
you
Yeah.
entered. Some people, it's like you were thinking, oh, they become seminarian 18.
Mhm.
Like during my years, it was like right after high school. It's like 18, going to seminary.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, I actually
21.
did think you were like 18.
Yeah.
Literally I thought the boy was 16 and it says, oh, well, he entered a seminary. I said, he must be at least 18.
Yeah, 21 years old.
21 years old. So what did you do between 18 and 21? You go to school? Or?
Yeah, so I was in Valley College, same colleges ish. Yeah, so what happened is, well, let's go back a little more. So I was in confirmation, and my parents signed me up, and I remember just thinking it's the most boring thing ever, And I mean, I had done my first communion, and so I sort of have an idea of catechism is and all that. And I was like, I'm gonna waste an hour or 2 hours of my Sunday plus mass. No,
My favorite students.
yeah.
yeah, man.
And
I was that kid too, man.
oh yeah, in all seriousness, and and then I feel like it's a funny story. So I had a crush on this one girl in school, right?
My
And
favorite confirmands.
and so then she shows up to my confirmation class, and after that, I'm like, I'm gonna try to show up to every class, every event we had, and because of that, I started engaging with what the catechist actually had to say. And little by little, I feel like I started getting a little more open to what the faith actually, because both my parents were very Catholic. In my whole life, they had always instructed me in that. But I feel like when I was 15, or between 13 and 15, that's when I really started rebelling against going to church and all that. And I felt like, I already know all about the faith. It hasn't done much for me, but I knew it all up here in my head. But it's the cliche, but it's true. It wasn't here in my heart, right? So anyway, I was like, yeah, the faith is informing me and all that. And then when I got in confirmation, little by little, I sort of started opening up to possibility. And we weren't just learning intellectually and all that, but we were actually doing, like, we would feed the homeless and make sandwiches and all that. And so it was ministry and learning. And so little by little, I felt like I sort of started engaging with the faith again. And then we had a retreat in the mountains at, what was it, St.
St.
Anne's?
Anne's.
Yeah, St. Anne's. And then, it'd been months at that point, being in confirmation. And we had adoration, I remember, the first night. It's funny, I thought, it was already like 9 p.m. by then. I'm like, oh, we're gonna go down, go to sleep. But they're like, no, put your PJs on, we're gonna go to the church and do adoration. And we ended up going to sleep like at 1 or 2 that night. Yeah, doing adoration.
It was
But-
like 3, bro.
3.
That's intense.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was pretty intense. No, and then personally, I remember we went to confession, and we were like, the priest, it was Father Henry, I remember, before he left. That was the last year.
It's Father Henry.
He said, I want you guys squeaky clean before adoration. We all went to confession, one by one. And so then coming back, I remember, I'm 15, that's when you started asking all the big questions, like, oh, what's the point of anything? What's the point of life? What am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
And I had that spark of the faith a little bit. And I remember I took that leap of faith with God. I was like, all right, Lord, well, I don't know anything. And if you're there, what do you want me to do? And then, bam, like, I just felt like God's love in that moment, truly. I mean, I remember looking at the crucifix and looking at it. It's been there my whole life, and I felt like I was looking at it like for the first time, and felt like it was really showing me his love, like he did it for me. And I mean, looking back, you know, I had my personal encounter with Christ then, you know, and from then on, I remember getting home after that retreat. I was a changed man. I was 15 years old, but yeah.
15, I'm a man.
Yeah, he's a man now.
No, but and then from then on, that's when I started hearing that little voice of you know the priesthood, you know, and little by little. No, and I feel like God gave it to me little by little, because if He had told me straight up, I would have said it. I would have like ran away, right? But I'm not gonna lie, I did sort of try to push that away for a long time. You know, I was like 16, 17. I was still, after I got confirmed, I was started doing youth ministry because this is really good. You know, I mean, I had a personal relationship with Christ and all that. I was going, but that one aspect of the possibility of the priesthood, and I was scared more than anything. You know, it was fear. Like, what business do I have being a priest? Like, I'm not gonna be a priest. What the heck? I'm just some guy. You know, I like girls. You know, you know, I'm not.
Let's hope that you do.
Yeah. So, you know, it wasn't until, what was it? You were there, right? It was senior year.
Yeah.
It was right when I started doing youth ministry. The same year I got confirmed. So I got confirmed in April of 2018. I started doing youth ministry after my water polo season was over in November. Was it? Anyway,
No, it was not October.
I opened up to these guys about the priesthood, and I had sort of told like some of my other friends, like but as a joke, not seriously. It's like, hey, what if I became a priest? You know, but like sort of like just throwing it out there, like it's not gonna happen, obviously. I don't know, dude. Like whatever.
You wouldn't be affirmed.
Yeah. And opening up, it was like the first time I really said like, yeah, I think God's calling me to be a priest. And by then it'd been like what, a year and a half, just denying. And I remember I started crying. I mean, I felt like this weight came off my shoulder. Remember? No, and then the pastor walks in as I'm saying this, so like he hears. I'm like, you know, saying yes to this possibility of going into seminary, and so then, you know, I was a senior then, but I remember I still wanted to take art classes, college art classes, because I really like that stuff. And so I did. I went to Valley College after, and it's funny because I had this whole plan, like, all right, well, I'm in college, I'm doing youth ministry, you know. I remember I was surfing with my cousins the summer I graduated, and I was like, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to surf, go to Mexico, and, you know, have fun all this time. And I graduated in 2019, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do all these things. And then I remember I had my accident with skating, my shoulder. I popped it out. I was telling you earlier before.
Doing an ollie on it.
Yeah, all that. And I was, you know,
a penny board.
Yeah, I know. And I'm doing an ollie on a penny board, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you did that like the night before, like our one of our biggest fundraiser events that we have for our youth ministry at our church is Luau. He did it the night before, and like we needed him for the haka, and we saw him come in with this cast, and we're like, what the heck happened to you, bro?
Yeah, I feel like I failed the team because we were supposed to dance like this like traditional Hawaiian thing. We practiced for like 3 weeks?
3 weeks straight, man.
And then right before, what happened? It wasn't a cast. It was actually just a sling, but still, I wasn't able to. No, and I wasn't able to move it for like a good 2 months, you know. And I was like, man, I'm like the rest of this 2019, I'm not gonna get to do the things I wanted. And I'm like, no, you know what? It's fine. I got the rest of, you know, up until 2021. Oh yeah, what was it? Yeah, and then so I got better, and I'm like, yeah, I got all these plans, and I feel like during this time, my prayer life wasn't super keen like before. You know, it wasn't. So I was trying to hold on to these things that weren't God, like having fun and doing all these things, and so, COVID hit, and that's when just everything got shut down. All my plans I had to, you know, have fun and this and that, and just went out the window, you know, and. In fact, I didn't even finish my degree in just general ed, you know. I was able to take, so the reason why is because everything went online. I wanted to retake some classes, some art classes, because they were online. We came back the second half of 2021. I could have finished my degree. I was like, I'm here for the art classes. So I ended up retaking those classes in person. And it was great. But then with COVID and all that experience, I gave up on my own plans. Like, I was like, you know what, God, whatever you want at this point. And I already knew I wanted to join seminary, but going into, I feel like it really helped me. Going into seminary, it's all to God, like whatever He wants, like really, truly. Because I feel like there's this possibility of going into seminary, like even going into seminary, you still have those like plans you want in life and all that, and your idea of what success is to you, even as a seminarian, you know. And I feel like God really help me out with that. Like whatever happens, like wherever you want me. Yeah, like it's crazy. Wherever you want, like I feel like wherever he sends me, I'm down for it because.
And it's saying yes. It's saying
completely,
yes,
you know, like.
And as one of the priests when I was your age, actually when I was 18, he says, you know, it's, and you might change your mind, but you're saying yes now, and that doesn't mean that, you know, 10 years from now. I was supposed to be Jesuit. They would have if they would have said diocesan 6 years, 7 years. I was like, yeah, maybe. When they said Jesuit 10 years, I'm like, what are you, insane? It's like that's more than half my life.
Oh yeah, that's more than half my life. Yeah. Well, not anymore. I'm 21, so I guess that's half my life.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like, you know. I think a lot of the times when young men are asked to answer a vocation to the priesthood, they say, well, I'm not sure if I want to be a priest. Oh, yeah. And but I feel like I should be a priest, or I feel a call.
God wants me to be.
God wants me to be. And I think many a times we judge too often that when someone does not become a priest after seminary that it's a fail. No, it's not. It's God called you to something else. And so I always want to encourage people who are looking at the vocation of the priesthood and you feel that you're being called to answer that. And later on, if God directs you, not calls you, but directs you to something else, that, you know, this is where I'd rather have you.
Oh yeah, it's God's calling.
Yeah, it's God's calling,
God.
And you know, even if you don't, like, if you don't make it all the way to seminary, you can say you at least tried. That's something that most men, like can't really say nowadays, right?
Yeah,
because at least they tried.
Yeah, and I really honor that you made that as a priority to answer God's call instead of you know. God is my backup plan.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I hear that a lot. It's like, well, if I don't make it in business, then I'll become a priest.
No, that's what you should do. If I don't make it as a priest, then you have a backup plan.
Right? So it's like,
no, and then personally, they make it very clear at seminary, like, you're here, you're still discerning, like, if this is for you, you know? I mean, so far, I think God wants me to be a priest, but, you know, you got a couple of years to really discern, and that's why it's so important to have that prayer life, you know, and seminary, not just, like, going to mass, because we go to mass every day, you know, and, we have prayers and the liturgy, we pray the liturgical hours and all that, but in your own time as well, like, one-on-one with God, and if you don't have that, you know, you're sort of just, like, wandering, whatever happens, but no, whatever happens that God wants from you, and so, we're still discerning, all of us there, we're still discerning if this is really for us. And naturally, they've told us, you know, not all of you guys are going to, I mean, that sounds sort of like bad, but not all of you guys are going to get ordained in the end, you know? So, yeah, I mean, just because you go into seminary doesn't mean you're stamped, you're going to become a priest in
you're all set.
9 years time. No, you're discerning, you're still, okay, is this for me? Like, really, and even, like, I don't know, let's say you have a year left before you get ordained. Even there, you're still discerning, right? Yeah. Now, of course, you're a little more committed by then, but because I mean, once you get ordained, that's it, you know. Unless you get what's it called when the Pope like says all, but no, like you get ordained, you're a priest forever, right? And so
priest for life.
You know,
even when you're laicized, you're a priest for life.
Oh yeah. So,
and I think what's great about that is that in the seminary formation that you're walking with others.
Oh yeah,
that are also walking in that direction. So
you're not
surrounded.
alone.
Yeah, you're not alone. It's kind of like you're a school of fish, and it's like you know, you're all swimming in the same direction.
And most of the guys are around your age group, right?
Yeah.
So it's really good.
And you're surrounded by people who have the same mindset. It's kind of like what parents. I'm a parent, and we manipulate the lives of our children. And yes, parents do manipulate the lives of their children by surrounding them with people who they believe would be good. And that's why they introduce them to youth ministry. That's why they introduce them to confirmation and faith formation. And because it is true, when you're surrounded by good things also happen to that person.
Oh yeah.
And
especially people.
Yeah. Right. And so it brings us back with your friendship. It's like you guys were in youth ministry together, and you're still friends. It's like, and you still hang out and you make these really awkward looking pictures, like striking poses.
It just tends to happen.
Comic-Con.
You know what I mean?
I was like, what the heck?
No, and then this last summer before joining seminary, I mean, I knew I wasn't gonna have as much time with Ish or just my friends in general. So we really try to hang out a whole lot this summer. And then actually I had my surgery for my shoulder this summer, so it was before my surgery that we really started hanging out. Cause well, from June on to until early August, I was still recovering, like, so. Yeah, but like, what was it, in May? We did a whole bunch of stuff in May.
Yeah, dude, it was funny because like when we went to that Comic-Con, right? Like because originally like we planned because like before then, like around that time, like our confirmation classes were like via Zoom, right? So we had this plan, like we're gonna be at Comic-Con, right? But like I have my phone, so like we can like join them via Zoom.
So it was on Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday.
It was on Sunday.
It was on Sunday, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, so what happens? We went to mass in the morning, and so then. We're like, all right, we're done with mass. We have the rest of the Sunday. We can go to Comic-Con, no problem. It's like, oh, but later on we're gonna have to do the confirmation. But it's not. It wasn't even like a serious. It was like a whatever. It was like towards the end of. I mean, it's what it was May, so it's the end of confirmation. We're sort of just saying bye, and it's like a pizza party thing, And so it was on Zoom originally. So we're all right. We're gonna be at Comic-Con, and then we're gonna go in the car, and then just we're gonna have the phone and just sort of talk to these kids, whatever, and. It's more of a fun thing. And then what happened?
And then next thing we got this text and like, oh, last minute plans. We're gonna meet in person at church. Be there at 3.
We're like, we're at Comic-Con in our Spider-Man costumes.
Yeah, and then it was 1:30. We looked at each other like we're in our suits and we're like, well, we gotta go.
We're not gonna get there in time. Like, and we didn't get there in time, But we didn't have time to change either. So we pulled up to church. We go to the youth house in Spider-Man suits.
Yeah, dude. And then like I ended up like teaching like my confirmation class like while I was in this suit.
Oh, you had a sweater on, so you got to put it over.
Sweater on, but yeah. And then like there was a point like I asked them like if they have any questions on like what's going on, so far like what they're learning. And then all of them like raised their hands, and then I was like, I picked on one of them yesterday, like, why are you in a Spider-Man suit? I'm like, because I want to be.
No, I would have changed, but I would have had to change or another, because it takes a while to put this thing on, and. We were already a couple minutes late, so yeah, we just rushed in and like it was so ridiculous. I remember a couple old ladies were passing by, and they're like, "What the heck is this dude doing in the Spider-Man suit at church?" And I'm like, "Oh, just keep going. And so it was same thing with my kids. They're like, I mean, it wasn't even that we weren't learning anything. We were just doing that to like sort of conclude the semester or the year, and I mean, we had fun or whatever, and I was in a Spider-Man suit, and we were sort of messing around. But
you ended up going to mass with the lower half of.
Oh yeah, so they needed us for hospitality, and I had already gone to mass, but I'm like, what, might as well just. So then I ended up changing, but what was it? Why did I mean, I'll just say I didn't have underwear, so I kept the suit under my clothing.
That is for remember we don't edit this podcast.
You didn't need.
And I didn't have my shoes either. They were sandals.
You didn't need what was most important. We'll just say that.
Yeah. So then I kept my whole suit under, and it's pretty itchy and stuff. So, but it was a pretty intense day, and but it sort of tested our commitment to this youth ministry.
But to think that no one was going to ask you, say, why are you in a Spider-Man costume?
No, we just had like a couple of looks, and then like, okay, church.
Yeah, whatever. No, but at mass, we were all covered up. Like, you couldn't see. The only thing for me, you can only see like the red boots. That was the only thing you could see. And I was just like trying to, play it off.
That's beautiful for me as a youth minister. That is one of the most amazing testimonies of commitment to faith. Because it allows us to segue into actual costumes, because we wear our superhero costumes under our regular clothes, and literally you were wearing superhero costumes under your regular clothes. And when people walk into mass, you just see everyone who looks the same wearing regular church clothes, but who are they underneath? What costume do they wear? Are they a Spider-Man? Are they a Batman? Are they a Superman? Are they a Wonder Woman? What costume do they wear? And sometimes even with young people who you minister to, who look up to you, it's like, what evil costumes do they wear? What villain do they relate to? And until you allow them to open up and reveal themselves, then they can't really change themselves into another aspect of where they grow into their lives. And so I think that's why it's beautiful that they see the friendships that you guys have, because people are going to see, like, those young people who you were teaching, you were evangelizing, you were sharing the faith, probably looked at you guys like, you know, two guys over there who are like now 15 and looking up to you guys who are 21. It's like, we're gonna be like Ish and Juan when we grow up.
Oh yeah, no, and then it was really interesting because it was the first time we had an in-person confirmation class. So a lot of these kids, I hadn't seen them in person, and I guess they only saw us on Zoom, so they have this idea of, oh, we're these teachers and catechists and all that, we're all serious. But then when I pulled up, I was in a Spider-Man costume, and I feel like a lot of them realized, like, this is just some guy, you know, like,
This guy?
It's not like a distant figure of like authority. I'm just some normal guy that does stuff, and they're like, "Is that a Spider-Man?" I remember they were asking me, like, "Yeah, we were at Comic-Con, and I was explaining, and they were looking at me like, you have a life, like
Comic-Con?
Yeah." And so I remember explaining it to them, just me and you guys know Mr. Ish, and we were doing youth nights as well, and except the second half because we had what was it, PMFP for catechisms.
That's right, PMFP,
So anyway, they knew Ish better than me because they had gone more youth nights, but they're like, "What? You guys hang out and like have fun too?" And then so it was sort of a revelation to these kids that we're obviously we're Catholic, but we're just people. Like there can be a connection with your leaders, and they don't have to be this distant authority of the faith, and like we're a community here. I'm for you guys. I'll do this for you guys. And I told them, like, I don't get paid. Like, we were literally at Comic-Con and they told us to come, and I'm here because I'm here, like, for you guys. And
we came here because we want to be here for you guys.
That's a great witness.
But it was I feel like the kids really got that when we pulled up in our Spider-Man suits.
I guess that also kind of like helped to see like as you were saying, like, commitment, that this ministry is something that we really treasure to heart, and that we're willing to take these risks, these sacrifices for it.
And you can't read that, you can't teach that in a book. And that relational ministry and that experience and that witness right there of friendship, of commitment, inspires these young people who you may have been trying to teach for the past 3 years and wasn't connecting, and all of a sudden you come in, two guys in a Spider-Man costume coming home from Comic-Con, and they're like, "Oh, I get it." And then they actually go back and reread the books and things that you were trying to teach them. It's like now they're inspired to want to do it because they actually got witnessed to by some people who are real. Because many young people out there, they think that their teachers, spend the rest of their days, if they're not teaching, then they're at adoration or they're at their mass or their faces in the Bible and they're praying constantly. And that's what they do. And they live boring lives. And they find out that, oh my gosh, they actually do have a life.
And we do those things not because we should do these things, but not because it's like our job and stuff, but because obviously having a life, we choose to do these things for a reason, not just because we have to do it or whatever, and going back to wait, I was gonna say something. I just lost my train of thought.
But to add to that, I love it when you're able to witness to them that you don't have to separate your faith life with your secular life. That you can actually bring your faith into Comic-Con and you can tie everything in. It's not like when it's like, oh, Mr. Arnell, he teaches and then he's holy and then he lives his regular life and he's a hedonistic bastard out there who's just pretending. No, that's a hypocrite. No, we live our life. Even when we're having fun, we're still that same person.
Living it truthfully.
It's like
we were just having this conversation like on the card right here, where we were talking about having multiple personas, auras, like personalities and such. Why go through that? Be true to yourself.
Authentic.
Yeah.
And in light of our Catholic faith, everything we do, right? You do it for glory of God, and and then they tell us this in seminary actually, like obviously you guys pray a lot and you study a whole lot. It's like, but don't just do those two things. It can get boring after a while. So they tell us, like, develop your hobbies. Like, do things, so you can develop your own talents, right? Because God wants us to use our talents. Definitely wants us to use our talents.
Perfect at all.
Yeah. So, so no, it's really important to have, a personal, things to do in your personal time, in light of the Catholic faith. So, of course, with that being said, everything you do, anything you watch, anything you listen to, I say, is this good for me spiritually, or is this nourishing me, or, because if you're listening to, music or watching stuff that is very inappropriate, it's not that, you shouldn't be doing that. But
it's not bringing you closer to God.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't mean, I can't see anything secular. You just throw everything out the window. No. Like, there's great movies that aren't necessarily Christian that really give a good message, right? And so, and with anything, I mean, like dressing up, going to Comic-Con, it's fun and stuff. You get to enjoy. And I remember reading our Spider-Man suits. Dude, everyone wants to take a picture with Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, dude, that was so funny, man. Like we were trying to go around looking, like seeing like what we can buy and stuff, and just like every minute just being pulled to the side. I'm like, okay.
Well, you brought both the Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was other fellow Spider-Man. Hey, what's up, man? And then dab each
other
up.
Like a group picture with like 8 others.
Yeah. And then I remember at the end, I'd be like, well, God bless you, man. Like, and then
right?
I remember a couple of them were like,
what did you say?
So yeah, I mean, you can just you can live out your faith without necessarily having to be like, catechizing them, right? Yeah. Just a good example of what you do.
You don't have to be a Bible thumper to share the word of God. It's just
amen on that.
Just being genuinely in love with God and His teachings,
living the gospel, right?
Living the gospel,
not just reading it.
That's literally what you guys did at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. You're living the gospel and you're sharing the faith, and that's what's so beautiful. It's like, but what we always say is be blessed and be third. Mm-hmm. And it's like the always thing that we always say is live a life of holiness, because you're constantly living that life of holiness. And so when someone sees you, someone sees Ish, and someone sees Juan, it's like, you guys remind me of someone. And it's like, who? It's like, well, that guy. Jesus. And so that is what we pray for. It's like someone will one day say, you remind me of Jesus. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I am so not worthy.
I'm not worthy at all. No.
But that is what our goal is. Our goal is for sainthood. I asked my confirmants the other day, it's like, raise your hand if you want to be a saint one day. And they're like, there's 3 of them. They're like, and they're like, oh, so the rest of you want to go to hell?
Because
it's like,
either you're a saint in heaven or not a saint in heaven.
That's right. It's like, be a saint. What else is there?
Yeah.
Because if you're not wanting to be a saint, then you're going to be in somewhere else. And so they're like, well, on that, well, if you say it that way, then we all want to be saints. But their concept, their idea of being a saint is that big capital S saint, Mother Teresa, Saint Padre Pio. Yeah. It's like, no, we're all saints. Yeah, right now, lowercase s, but when we go to heaven, guess what? We get that capital S, we get the title.
Oh, yeah. We're all called to be capital S saints. Yeah. Now, of course, the church recognizes these specific people because, they did really big things. Well, I guess the church needed to see that or something, But I feel there's many saints that the church doesn't, like, what do you call them when they get, not ordained saints,
Canonized?
There we go.
Yeah,
lost
That's
the word.
why we have Ish.
Yeah, thank you, Ish. I lost the word. But yeah. I feel like there's plenty of people who don't get canonized that are already in heaven,
That's right.
And so, I feel it's like, for me personally, it was sort of intimidating. Like, I remember a priest telling us, like, we're all called to be saints. And I'm like, what? I can't do that. Like, all these people, they're so holy. But, I mean, we're all called to be saints, but we're all different and unique, right? And God, and so, you don't have to do these super huge things in the faith and that to be a saint, just living your day-to-day life, truly, with the gospel.
And that's so beautiful. You were saying, Ish?
Yeah, no, I want to tag along with that too, because just recently, like, we had a youth night that we were talking about the self-worth and whatnot too, because really, like, after COVID and everything that's going on around in the community, social media and whatnot, like, it's becoming clearly like the youth are struggling to find their self-worth. And then there comes I don't know if you've seen that sound where it goes smarter, stronger, I'm better, I am better, and then it comes that mentality oh, I want to be better than so and so, when I want to be worth more than him and whatnot, when that shouldn't be it. in the eyes of God, we're all worth the same. God loves us immensely, boundless, and you're no worth than your neighbor. You're worth the same as well. And of course, I can understand, like, I can understand and see from like the human perspective, right? Like there are generally some people like super intelligent, right? Or like roided out dudes in the gym, right? And then there's like Juan right here.
Juan's ripped.
Yeah, Juan's ripped. Just wait, man. Like,
Just don't watch it on YouTube.
Just don't watch it on YouTube. Wait until like he becomes a priest, right? He's like super roided out, walking down the.
About to be a Giga Chad priest. No,
but yeah, I guess that comes like the youth need to realize like they're worth it. God loves them.
Yeah. And it's our job to get that message across to these people, not just the youth, just everyone,
Everyone in general, yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. What I'm doing, right?
That's right.
That's what you're doing. That's what we're here in this podcast.
That's literally why we're trying to connect. As our vision statement is to connect generations and situations, not to necessarily agree, but be listened to. So there's someone out there who's listening to the two of you and listening to our conversation and says, well, yeah, this connected. What Ish said, what Juan said, what Ernell said, yeah, that connected. That inspires me to do something. Same thing as in your vocation stories. You did something because somebody inspired you to do something. And I love that word inspired, because the root word is in Latin, it's inspirare, which is to breathe. To breathe in, to inspirate. And so a lot of times when we're inspired, we, it's like, oh, that was so inspiring. Let me breathe in. Yeah. And let me take it in. Yeah. Let me take it in. In our Catholic Christian faith, what do we take in? What happened when God created Adam? He breathed life, and Adam breathed in. He inspired the Holy Spirit, and so that is our creation. Every time we breathe in the Holy Spirit, and we are inspired creations.
Yeah. And then that doesn't only happen once; it happens for the rest of our lifetime. Because I'll admit, because that was like my first like hint of inspiration, right? When I got into court team, youth ministry and stuff. I'll admit, like my senior year of high school, I had a lot of difficulty, a lot of problems going on in my life. I made some bad decisions, but who doesn't? We're humans and all that. And then like
I was
that
perfect.
inspiration, and then that inspiration like died out on me. And then I was like, for a certain point, I was just doing it because like felt like I just had to. Like it was a chore. And then somewhere along that line, like ever since then, like I started thinking to myself like, why am I still doing this? Like, I could just quit right here and just let someone else take the place, right? And then at just like some point, like where I was observing like the youth, like when they come to these youth nights, like they're happy, like they're joyful, like they're having a wonderful time. And then next thing, like it just clicked in my head, and I was like, I'm here because I want the youth to be happy. I want them to be happy in this faith, with these communities that we're building for them. And just ever since then, like that's just been like my inspiration, is just the youth, seeing them happy and seeing them grow in their love of God. And whenever I see that, I just like pat on my shoulder. I'm like, just keep going, bro.
I love it because you're allowing God to use you. You're allowing the Holy Spirit to flow through you. You're not denying His gifts. You're not denying the fruits of the Holy Spirit to flow through you, joy, goodness, kindness. And so that's what's beautiful, and I think that's what they see. You're going into nursing, you're going to find out that breathing and breathing in is an autonomic response. You don't think about it, we just breathe. We just breathe, and that is God's love. You don't think about it, you don't realize it, but regardless of whether you want it or not, He loves you. And He inspires you. He breathes life into you. And it's like, and that's I love the fact that you're going to the medical field, because medical field, it's all about God.
It's all about God.
It's all about God.
Yeah, and if you're just doing it, I feel like, I'm not gonna become a nurse or anything. I'm gonna become a spiritual medical person.
Yeah, he's gonna be a doctor of the church.
Of the church.
Yeah, you can see it like that, right? The priests are the doctors of the church. I like that.
Gotta heal.
And you can say like everyone that works in it, like we're nurses, right?
But I feel like if you're in the faith and you're a nurse or even just a doctor, you know, you sort of have that spiritual aspect to you, so you really you go all in, you know, not because I feel like a lot of nurses can do the job, but it's sort of just like through the motions, and they're just doing it to do it, you know. But I mean, because you're with people, right, and you're helping these people, but sometimes I feel you can help these people, but just sort of to like, oh yeah, because I have to do this, you know. But like you were saying earlier,
for the motions.
Let's say you were saying earlier, as a Catholic, you know, you really, really do it out of love, not just out of a job, you know. I think that's really important, and that applies to everything we do, right? Even priests, you know, doing the mass and all that, you know, you're doing it for your community, not just because I'm a priest and I have to do it. And
right, transition, Halloween costumes. Do you guys wear costumes during Halloween?
Well, when I started off like as a kid, like I did, like I remember like I had pictures of like I was like, you know, like I had the Spider-Man mask, but then we had like these capes that had like the character on the back. I'm like, that's my costume for it. And then I remember like my mom, like I think she heard something over on the radio, and then that tends to be that misconception of like the Halloween is like the devil's like birthday celebration, right? So like my mom like hearing is like, we're not celebrating Halloween no more. I was like, dang man. But then after then, like we've learned to go on that, like that's just a misconception.
Yeah. For me,
yeah. But like costumes wise, like on Halloween, yeah, I will. But like now I'm kind of like making it a hobby because I enjoy it. It's like a hobby that I developed this year. So I like, just put it on whenever. But
I did as a kid like a few times, but my family we didn't really celebrate Halloween. We celebrate more Dia de los Muertos, right? So like we wouldn't like decorate the house with like spider webs or anything. We would just like, you know, just make some pan de muerto and set up a little altar, and we wouldn't like give them the food for them to like eat it or whatever, you know, the whole thing. No, it's just like recognizing our ancestors, our grandma, praying for them, and you know, the whole thing with Halloween, like the devil and all that, like my parents sort of like saw it like we're just gonna do our tradition, you know, Dia de los Muertos. But there were a couple of times where, you know, I remember the first time I ever really dressed up to go trick-or-treating, even though we weren't giving out candy, it was just us going asking for candy. I was like a ninja or something. I was like in the 5th grade or something, and I remember one time one of our cousins, we did the same thing. But yeah, we didn't really ever celebrate Halloween that much. It was just sort of Dia de los Muertos, and I mean I have good memories, you know, with Halloween as in like the Mexican tradition, but a lot of people do celebrate Halloween in Mexico, you know. This is just my family. But now I don't really dress up ever for Halloween, which is funny because I dress up for like the randomest thing, the Comic-Con. Yeah,
I was growing up, you know, it was Father Tomas sends a reel. He sends the most. I want to give a shout out. Father Tomas sends the most random reels, just random. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Like on Instagram?
On Instagram, he'll just send the most random reel. I'm like, you know, when someone sends you a reel and there's no comment, nothing, it's just, okay, what does that mean?
It's like one of those reels where like, send this to your friend, don't say anything.
So that was a tangent. That was my Dory moment. But you know, costumes. You know, I still remember my very first costume as a kid. And, you know, we lived a very secular way of Halloween. Didn't really realize it. We just thought, you know, it's a great way to get free candy.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mom never gave out candy, but she sent us out so we can get free candy. But you know, culturally and traditionally in the Philippines, we didn't have Dia de los Muertos. We didn't have the dressing up in those what is that, Catrina, or you know, those kind of things. What we did was on November 1st, people just went to mass, but on November 2nd, everyone went to the cemetery. It was the only day that people went to the cemetery in the Philippines, is on the Day of the Dead. And I just remembered memories of that is collecting wax balls. Okay? You know, from all the candles, you collect all the wax and make giant balls different color balls of wax, and your hands would be red because of all the red candles that people would burn, and that was it. It was actually a national holiday in the Philippines. There was actually no transportation, no buses. So if you weren't home on November 2nd, then there was absolutely no way you're stuck in the city or wherever you're at because everything was off.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I always think going back to Halloween, I used to decorate the house till that one year when someone stole all my Halloween decorations.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like odd because my neighbor said, well, isn't it weird that it's the only day of the year that you would put out all this expensive stuff in your front yard and think nobody's going to take it? And then you would open your doors to total strangers who are wearing masks and give them something of yours and think that it's okay and safe. And I'm like, well, if you put it that way, maybe I should just keep my door closed because it's scary now. So it's weird. It's
interesting.
Yeah. And in the Philippines, going back to that, it was like a day that every single house was vacant. And nobody would break into anyone's home because guess what? Even the criminals were at the cemetery honoring their dead.
Yeah.
And people would, bring food and things. And it was like a picnic atmosphere on November 2nd. It's like, I just remember that because we would get like toys because there were like vendors who would sell like toys and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I would take advantage of all the people.
But coming here in America, we were like, well, we have to wear a costume and go from house to house and people actually give you candy
and say like a phrase, trick or treat,
and say trick or treat and they'll give you candy. I was like, well, that's easy. I remember the first time, I think I was 7, we were out till 11 o'clock at night and we're like, there's no one else out. It says, but there's more houses, there's more candy. But that was me, and I really liked wearing costumes at that time because of the whole festive atmosphere. It wasn't later on until I got in church. A lot of people didn't celebrate because there was that whole concept of this is the devil's day.
We're celebrating all these ugly things,
And it's funny because our pastor, Father Al, says, "Oh yeah, make sure that we had a Halloween event at church." And says, and make sure that someone wears devil costumes and all the scary ones. And we're like, what? And he's like, because the devil is real and people need to realize that the devil is real. And so maybe that reminds them that, what, the devil is real.
It's also the intention, right? Not just what you're doing.
Yeah. And so we did this whole thing of understanding why Halloween became Halloween and why All Hallows Eve is actually our vigil to All Saints Day. And so we've always said, okay, well, what's our tradition now? Well, on October 31st, go to Mass on the vigil so that you don't have to go to Mass on November 1st because it was a holy day, of obligation. So,
of obligation, too?
Yeah, it was a holy day of obligation.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it was discontinued, I believe, after Vatican. A little bit before Vatican II.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
We had more holy days of obligation than what we do now. Even in Mexico, we have more holy days of obligation than we have in the United States.
Yeah. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I remember like sometimes my mom's like, "Oh, we have to do this," and then we would go to the church and like no one there.
No one there.
It's not a day of obligation over here in the U.S.
Like, Saint Joseph. It's like, what? It's not a holy day of obligation.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I love going back to the Philippines is because it's 85% Catholic. It used to be like 95%.
Even still, 85.
Yeah, 85%. And this is what's crazy, dude. This is blow your mind. When I was used to run, I was running in the morning, hit 6 o'clock, the bell towers of every single church in the city go off. And then over their loudspeaker, they have a loudspeaker, the Angelus comes on. And guess what? All the Jeeps, taxis, cars, motos stop. And people stop where they're at.
What?
And they start praying the Angelus. And it's only 2.5 minutes. What? And then as soon as it's stops, everybody starts going again. And it's like the city stops at 6 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. I'm like, this is crazy. Can you imagine? Everything just stops.
Everyone just
stops. And it's like, even the non-Catholics stop.
Because it's everyone else is doing it, no?
Yeah. And I was like, and when I was going to college there were these guys who I went to school with. There were 3 Muslims from Kuwait. They stopped and they were like, I'm like, but you're not Catholics. Like, but it's honoring Mary, who's also very important in their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, that's how I learned ecumenicalism from 3 Muslim guys. It's like, wow, it's interesting. But friendship, and Halloween and wearing costumes, being superheroes. I think it's important for us to realize that just wearing costumes is being that superhero. And the superhero that we are the saints who we're attempting to be and who we will be in the future. Everyone's has different charisms. You have yours. But the reason why I really brought you guys out here is so that I could take a picture with 2 Spider-Man. But in actuality, I just really admired your friendship.
Oh,
Because I think the fact is that more young people out there need to see that we don't get to heaven alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus had his
Right.
12 guys with him all the time. You
Yeah.
know?
And then he sent them off
In pairs.
in pairs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And every
Yeah.
time I see you guys in those stupid costumes,
In pairs.
in pairs, stupid poses.
You know, I'll
And
put
I'm
my
like,
mask right now. Actually.
you guys are in pairs, and so it's like, so that's super cool. And so right there, it's like, you don't know who's behind that mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, and we tend to judge who's behind that mask right there. And that, a lot of times what we need to realize, and we need to let young people who are hearing this and listening to this, is you can put on a mask, but underneath that mask is simply holiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who you are.
Disciple of Jesus.
A disciple of Jesus. That's it.
The rock of the church.
Amen.
No, and then we should, imitate. I mean, we put on a costume, but we should be who this costume is, and that should be Christ. Put on the costume of Christ, but I don't put it as a costume, but imitate Christ. Like look at him, and say, I'm gonna be like that.
He says, and Jesus is going to say, I saw that.
Yeah.
He saw that, he's gonna dab you up on you like, hey, good job, bro.
All right, guys. So you guys have anything, parting words to say, words of wisdom? Oh, I just wanted to share. There's a quote from Saint Mother Teresa. It said, I simply live so others may... I live simply so that others may simply live. I thought that was such a cool quote, that, you know what? Each and every one of us, even though we're wearing costumes and we're living our lives, we're living simple lives. And people are witnessing that and says, oh, it just, it's not that difficult to live simply. But when people see you, they live. They can simply live because they got your witness.
Yeah.
You got your witness. So I thought that was such a cool quote from her. She has so
Yeah.
many other
I
cool
really
quotes.
like that one as well too, because it really demonstrates humility, being very humble. It's kind of like, I walked so you can run.
Yeah.
That kind of thing as well too. Just humbling yourself and just sacrificing yourself for others. And I keep talking about the here and now, just saying like, we're really selfish right now in these times, and like we've kind of forgotten like what sacrifice is about. Like we think it's like, oh, just give up soda, that's it, right? But gotta be something, it's gotta be something more to it, like more like something like holds you really back, especially because take a look at Juan, for example. For as long as I've known him, he's struggled to decide if he wanted to accept God's calling into the seminary, and I was with him every step of the way.
That's important.
So it was important because we just tend to forget that, and we need to be reminded. And I look at Juan, and I'm just like, like, so happy, I'm so proud, because he's that shining example of sacrifice, man. He's sacrificing his life to potentially be God's working hands and feet, to be able to preach out and reach out to others that need to hear the words of God. Like I'll say right now, because I'm pretty sure there's people out there that don't know about this faith, and that kind of sounds like a little idiotic, right? Like, oh, who wouldn't know Catholicism? It's just knowing that God loves them. I feel like people tend to forget that as well too, and also that God never once, never a second, or never any time at all in our lives abandons us, but we can abandon Him.
Wow. Yeah.
He
so
never
true.
abandons us, but we can abandon him. He's still with us all the way, but just abandon him.
Wow. So I'm gonna say this. I may not. I'm a lot older than you two. I might not see this day,
Mhm.
but one day, maybe, hopefully, I pray from heaven, I would be able to see, Juan, on the altar as a priest, and Ish, his deacon, washing the dishes.
Yeah, the purificator. And
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's like, what does the deacon do? He washes the dishes.
he sets them up and then
He
washes
sets
them.
him up and he washes the dishes. But that's beautiful in friendship, and that is exactly why we have you two here, is to witness to people what friendship does.
Mhm.
We walk in pairs. We are sent out in pairs. Jesus called people to come together, and we are never alone. We're never sent alone, because being alone, easily attacked by the devil. We
yeah.
fall into our own sins and our weaknesses. But when we have people who keep us accountable, like you two have kept each other accountable, we definitely see holiness coming out. And just your witness to those young people coming to church in costumes, that probably is something that they will remember more than anything else that occurred during the 3 years they were in formation. But it's important for them to tie everything in to that incident, to be inspired by your witness. And so that's so important, guys. We could talk on forever.
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Because-
but
But Juan needs to go back before he turns into a pumpkin. Something about he can't stay forever.
Our Cinderella story right here. I'll just go ahead. Well, I'll go ahead and say these parting words. I'm sure Juan will as well too. But for those that are listening, for those that see us, like, you can see us as examples, as perhaps maybe role models for the youth. But just know, like, you guys, the youth, you guys that are watching, are capable of doing so much more than we can. And you can do greater things than we can, of course. We're just, I guess you can say, we're setting that path, right? We're kind of like stomping like that cement so that way you can run. So I encourage you guys to just be honest with yourself, be true for yourself. Like, along with this faith in God, show your love, show that desire that you want to develop this relationship with God, because it is an amazing experience. And it's happened to me, it's happened to Juan, I've seen it happen to others. This faith saves people, not like from like a life or death situation, no, but it just saves.
Not, it can't be
Salvation. Yeah, it could also be life or death situation too. I've yet to see that, but it is salvation.
Yeah.
It's important. And you guys are capable of doing so much more than we can. Of course, we're going to do the best that we can, right, Juan?
Amen.
Of course. But I always tell that, like, to my youth, like, you guys are capable of doing great feats.
Right.
And I hope that I can live to that day to see it and just be like, I knew you could do it. God knew you could do it.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, you'll be here too.
I'll be there. I'll be podcasting in the back.
Just like in your 80s, you're like, can you guys still hear me?
He just aged me.
Well, I just wanted to say, God's still calling many young men and women to, religious life, priesthood. Not everyone's called to get married, and I feel like there's a big misconception with today's youth. Oh, I need someone to. Sure, we still need that human connection, but not necessarily in marriage. Like, for example, I just recently learned this. Priests still have really intimate friendships. With men and women. Like the other day, we just real quick, we were at the father got invited to with a family to like a get together. And he brought all of seminarians. Father Jorge, director of Sarah House, and we get there, it's all the family, and then they had their cousins there, and he brought all of the seminarians, and I was watching him, and he's really talking to this family like like if it's his family, and because he's known them for years, and they're not necessarily related to him, but You need that human connection, but not necessarily being married, to another person.
Not the intimate.
Yeah. And so, God's still calling men and women, especially men today, to be priests. We need priests in our church. And, I know many of us can be scared, to make that choice, but it's all right. I was scared too, I remember. And, God, if we believe God knows everything and knows what's best for us, don't you think if he's calling you to this, don't you think that's what'll make you the most happy? Not just happy, the most joyful.
Yeah.
And so I remember saying this too earlier, but you think you got better plans than God, or? And so, I just wanted to say that, and then we can find joy in all this, And I've found joy in this. Even these last 2 months in seminary have been very intense, academically, socially, emotionally, but I feel like I'm living, I'm not just like going through the motions. I feel like I'm really learning so much spiritually.
I literally think, Juan, that you brought something to the seminary of a sense of quirkiness.
I'm literally saying this in a Spider-Man mask.
that allowed people to say, "What's going on over there?"
What kind of dudes are they accepting?
But we're called to be childlike, not childish. Childlike, with that simplicity.
Exactly.
Going back to that simplicity you were talking about, be friendship, have fun. I mean, there's a time and place for things, but we don't have to abandon ourselves. Like, I mean, maybe your own plans, but you don't just leave everything and you're all all serious all the time.
It's literally my training for youth ministry, for youth leaders, was called How to Be a Fool for Christ.
Exactly.
If you aren't able to, if you aren't able to be a fool for Christ, and you're too shy, you're too embarrassed, then you won't be able to do anything. If you can't laugh at yourself and the mistakes that you make, and allow other people to laugh with you, then you're not doing really, you're not sharing the joy of what God has given you, that joyful, Christ-like, childlike attitude, to be a fool for Christ, not to be afraid of what's going to happen or what people are going to say, because that always prevents you from really acting out on how God calls you. And so I really love that, and the jokes. Keep those dad jokes going, because I can't be the only Catholic dad out there.
Oh, you're not. I've been plenty of my dad. Oh, God.
Those awkward jokes. I was like, those are funny.
No, told me one, and I said it on one of the Instagram's vocations page. It's like, well, why did the man fall into the well? Why did the man with one eye fall into the well? Because he couldn't see that well. Get out of here with that. My dad.
Are we ever watching that reel? I was like, this guy.
Yeah, I think I reposted that twice. I was
Those
like,
dad
this guy.
jokes.
That was so bad. That was so bad. It's good. It's one of those. It's so bad.
It's good.
It's good. It's like, well, on that note, guys, thank you for coming on the show. I think this is such an honor for me. It definitely is one of those episodes that says "this connected." It's like I've never had an episode where I had two Spider-Men on the episode. And Tony, you missed out. You could have been Iron Man here.
You could have been an Iron Man.
You could have been Iron
Man.
Man. But it is what it is. So if you guys want to follow these two individuals, that's Ishmael Jimenez and Juan Santamaria. I can't ever pronounce his last name.
Samaniego.
So follow them on Instagram if you desire. Ish has the most craziest awkward pictures. But
I don't post much. But
he doesn't post much, but you could always follow Ish with those images. If you guys want to send us an email, comment, concern about the podcast and anything, topics that you want us to talk about, send us an email at catholic.dad50@gmail.com, or simply DM us at catholic.dad on Instagram. You can also follow us on Facebook, if people still use Facebook, on Disconnected. And as always, if you want to support the podcast, go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/thisconnected and help us support for us. So this is $1. We'll send you some merchandise out there. I think we have new stickers and
Wow.
cups and shirts.
Yeah, these cups that
and-
we've been drinking out of,
Yeah,
man.
these cups, Disconnected Podcast cups, for as low as $5 a month, you can get that on the third month.
And take it
So-
from Miles Morales and Tom Holland right here.
Tom Holland.
You gotta do the voice.
Peter Parker.
No, but
I'm here with Tony Stark. Oh my God, Miles Morales. Oh my God.
We've had too much fun. And as always, if you guys want to support us, do support us. Everything goes to youth ministry anyways. And as always, please pray for us. We'll be praying for you. And as we always say, how do we say it at the very end? Live a life of holiness, be blessed, and be third. And we'll see you at the next episode.
Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown with the noise of different generations of the girls and boys. So sit back and relax, this is the podcast. Don't overreact if these thoughts are abstract. When it's hosted by Catholic Dad, who knows what's gonna happen?
Hey, what's up, fam?
Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown with the noise, and see if this connected.
What's up, fam? To connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along.
Expect runaway thoughts like a runaway train. Break into conversation like links of a chain. Make a Hail Mary pass, hope this connects. Have a question for a guest, put it to rest. Live a life of holiness, lead by example. Follow at Catholic.Dad and Mini Tangled. Christ leads our way, he's the good shepherd. Pray for one another, be blessed, and be third. Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown with the noise, and see if this connected.
What about, bro?
What about?
Stop. I walked away one time and dragged the entire system because I didn't take off the headphones.
That's
I was like,
so mad, man.